Oh, good morning, everybody. We have an amazing sunny day this morning from our storm, our unbelievable storm the other day. We go from cold to hot. But we're down at one of the local lakes here, and we want to show you there's nothing in it. There's nothing in it. I have never seen it like this.
It's just more crazy times. And we've got some birds up here warning everybody. But this is part of what we would call the national park chain up here. This is what we would call Smith Reservoir, Smith Lake. And the farmers have really been tapping the water.
But the problem is, now there's none. It affects all the wildlife. You guys, they're getting rid of the water. They're getting rid of the food. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been watching what's been going on in Australia, but I tell you what, I've shed quite a few tears to see my country like that, the way it is now. You know, the Victorian police went into a food market and they brought their horses in, and they had plenty of police, which, by the way, are being paid by private corporations. They're not even being paid by the government. So because they're paid by corporations, people are being bullied. Video of some guy who was bipolar, so he had an emotional mental disorder, and they were kicking him in the head. So we've told you guys that this day was coming. And here's the thing. All of these other agencies that are telling you to stand up and fight for humanity, most of them are deceptions. But what I want to say is, if you really want to fight for your freedom, do it in the name of children, because they're the ones that are being abused the most. But the point is, they're stopping people from getting food. They're drying up water sources, taking the water. In Australia, they did the same thing. And they're trying to starve you into submission. I hope you understand this. You know, when I said these things on my Facebook a couple years back, people just laughed and called me crazy. And it's not going to happen like that. You're not a very spiritual person, because it's just going to all go away when the fifth dimension gets here. Well, how's that working for you now? Because we have a lake that has no water in it here. You guys can clearly see we have no water in this lake. Completely dried up in all the years.
I have never seen it this way.
We've
ever.
never.
And we've been out here for quite a few years.
So where are they getting the water from, the farmers, if there's no water to get it from here?
I don't know, but as far as Australia is a bellwether. You know, the term bellwether being basically a ringing bell warning everyone, because what happens in Australia, once it takes place in Australia,
it's coming to a city near you. It doesn't matter where you live. Maybe we'll go back around.
Yeah, okay, however you want to go.
Oh, this is soft down here.
I don't want to walk into the mud though.
It's not mud, it's dry. Look.
No.
Look at that. It's powdery, dried. Wow.
Hey, we can go this way,
Yeah.
up there and loop around.
I've never seen this lake dry,
Yeah,
ever.
It's quite a sight to see. I mean, looks like the Gobi Desert almost. Give it a few more days. Yeah, everything's
They're drying up the food resources.
I can't begin to tell people how important it is
To be stocking food.
Please stock up every time you go to the store. You know, even a few extra cans can make a huge difference. And rice, you want to get hold of rice. I mean, they're already saying Australia's going to be out of rice come November.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine that. In Australia, that was a pretty big cash crop.
Yeah. Wheat, rice.
But they can't grow because they don't have
sorghum.
Yeah, all the water's been sold off to the Chinese. And the Chinese wanted cotton, so they got plenty of cotton. Well, you can't eat cotton.
Yeah, you can make t-shirts out of it, but nobody can buy a t-shirt if they don't have any money to even feed themselves. Do you think they're going to go buy your t-shirts? This is the point we're making, is that everything is just upside down. It's inverted.
Yeah, I'll hold this here so we can. So there you go, people. This is what we're looking at here. There you go. Did you want that?
Yeah, I'll take that. You hold the GoPro. So we're just walking along the lake edge this morning, and the ground is rock hard. And
about the only thing that this is good for is ATVs, and people come down here and kind of ride around. It's really sad though, because just a few years back you'd come down here this time of year and there'd be campers parked here and people fishing and people having a good time cooking out. Yeah, they don't want that anymore. They want you to be a happy little drone. You go to work, you pay your bills, you do what they tell you, you go back to your home, you stay there, you don't go anywhere. And they're gonna make it that way. That way they can track everything we do, control us, and eventually the systematic removal of large numbers of people is right around the corner.
And if you've got a big mouth and you're a rabble rouser like me,
yeah, we'll probably go first. I mean, they've warned us before to be quiet.
But we've watched something this morning from Max Igan on BitChute, and I'm going to put a link below this video and show you guys what's going on, because we're seeing in Australia the tyranny is. I never thought that Australia would be the first country.
It's gotten really bad. It really has.
And I never thought that I would see the day when Australians were getting beaten,
bludgeoned, attacked,
for just going into a food market,
humiliated,
arrested.
I mean, they're arresting a pregnant woman. They arrested for doing a post on Facebook. It's unbelievable what's going on.
And I got told that he knew that.
Well, doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out something's not right. You know what I mean? We do like this area sometimes. It's a bit desolate, but you know, sometimes you need to think about things, and one of the best ways to think about things is to just take a walk.
You still gotta keep yourself fit and healthy.
Or at least try to. It's not easy nowadays.
No.
Everyone's so exhausted. They work hard. They work for hours. They come home, they can barely afford to pay their bills. And yet, about 50 years ago, a single person's income could support an entire family.
Yeah. If you were raised in the 50s, I was raised in the 60s, and I remember that my mother never went to work. She stayed at home and took care of all of us. So,
and it was a very necessary exchange of labor. It had nothing to do with oppressing women. It had to do with who was best for certain roles. And at that time in our society, women were basically the head of the house in the sense that they ran the household.
yeah. So,
Why was that so bad?
well, it wasn't. So what we want to tell you guys is that you have to make a stand. There's a choice, there's a line that's been drawn, and I know that many of you are clearly seeing this. You are either in support of freedom and the pedophilia to stop, or you support it. It's that easy. And if you support it, it may be your child one day. It just goes missing.
And as I recall sitting in some of my classes back when they actually taught things of value in college, instead of all this social justice nonsense, which is destroying our society, was that you actually could plan for a future. You would know where you were going, what you were doing. You could then decide if you wanted to get married. Well, the latest movement now is men are not marrying women anymore because of something we like to call MGTOW. I don't know if any of you have heard of that.
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, I don't. Hey guys, that's our truck. But the point being is that people don't trust each other anymore.
Right.
Feminism has basically destroyed the ability for men and women to get together and to enjoy each other's company.
And if you guys have ever read some of the Marxist things that they did in history, especially with the Bolshevik Revolution, I've done a lot of research on it. They use women.
Right, because, and the Romans did this too as far as instituting slave houses.
Yeah.
Because they figured, okay, if you control the women, you got the men and the kids. So they would give women the authority and power. And that's something that people need to think about. It's still going on today. But most women that get involved in feminism end up alone. They end up miserable and unhappy and without children. And you've been sold a bill of goods because the whole purpose of feminism was to get women out in the workforce so we could double our tax receipts,
Yes. So
make more money off
Yeah.
of people, and turn everyone into little automatons. And then you just dump your kids in daycare, right? Well, look
at the daycare kids now.
what the daycare kids are doing.
Oh,
They're
my
now
gosh.
in control of the world, a lot of these kids, and they're tearing up things, destroying, and then they go to school. They go to school for 8-10 years, get these useless degrees that can't do anything. You want to go a little further and then turn around, or are you ready to go?
Oh, we can go if you like. The point is that there is a woman in Australia called Karen Bauer who has a big mouth too. But she's trying to wake up her fellow countrymen and saying, because you were asleep, because you didn't see this coming, in those 30 years that you voted other people out, these others moved in. And now they are the monsters who are controlling our judicial system. And it's truthful, guys.
We
I
let
mean,
a whole generation of kids get molested, sold into trafficking, and now these children as adults are fractured and destroyed.
Yeah.
Of course they're going to turn to dark things.
Yes.
Of course they're going to join the dark side because they're angry, and they should be angry. Those people were abandoned. What happened? We just let these pedophiles dictate to us. Well, it's now time to stand up, people, because you have no other choice. If you don't stand up, you're going to be processed into this machine, and you're going to eventually be muzzled, squelched, and then systematically used by the system until you're no longer of any use, and then you'll be discarded.
And Max came out with a very good point this morning. Now, we've told you about this before. This earth has gone through this reset phase numerous times. And what happens is that every reset, what these beings are doing, they're looking for the ones they think are ready for the fifth dimension. And the ones that will stand up, the ones with the big mouths, the ones that say, I'm not going to take this from you guys anymore. I'm a free sovereign being. And so when you start standing up and you stop having fear about death, because that's the biggest indoctrination of all, is that you've been programmed to think that death is a really scary thing. But you should look at your body right now as just a flesh suit. And when you go into the fifth dimension, it is because you earned it, because you had a big mouth, because you stood up against authority, because you said, you can't treat me like this anymore. So the lines are being drawn. Are you ready for the fifth? Because if you are, you need to protect your very soul at this point. And I know there's going to be some trolls on my page, so I'm going to pre-warn you. Trolls, you're going to get banned straight away. I'm not doing it with you anymore. I know who you are, I know where you come from, and I know you sit behind your computers and you harass people because your slave lords tell you that. So I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm only talking to the people who are ready for this.
And one final thing that I'd like to say before we conclude our little walk and talk, and we'll try and do more of these as we find better places to go, but what I would like to tell you is this. In the end, you're responsible for yourself.
Yep.
no matter what you feel, I mean, like today, my own mother writes to me, and it's interesting because she thinks I'm insane too. But the thing is, she's beginning to see that everything I've been saying is right. And what I've tried to come to explain to people is this: you are your own person.
Yeah.
You need to worry about you and where your soul's going to be, okay, and how you're going to survive this. Because maybe the people that are your worst critics are in your own family, which is not unusual, by the way. That's one of the ways that they try to control you.
Yes.
They'll turn a family member against you, so that if you don't agree with what they're saying and buy into the whole system, then you're just a bad kid, you know.
And if you don't agree with them, you're an unhappy, angry person. No, that's not it at all. You are a independent thinker.
And you're intelligent, and you see what's coming, and you know what's going to happen. And we keep warning people, look, this isn't a game anymore, okay? We're trying to help people here. People think this is some big kind of game that Victoria and I are playing, or some live action role play garbage.
No.
It's not. We're telling you the truth. Please listen to us, okay? If for no other reason, you don't even have to believe that we channel spirits, even though we do. You don't have to believe everything that's going to happen here, even though we've showed you that it's happening, and everybody knows that it's happening.
And I'd like to suggest something. If you don't believe it's happening, then go back a year and listen to some of those dark entities speak about what their plans were for this world. And tell me which part of what they said wasn't truthful, that you can't see happening with your own eyes now. Because when I put some of those videos out, you know, people are like, oh, you guys are just making this shit up. Okay.
Believe me, if it were that easy, like, why would I go through all this? Why would I subject our family to these things? Okay, we lost one of our sons to this garbage, okay, but he's free. It's kind of nice when you can actually connect. We actually talk to our son who's on the other side all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but you can do the same thing too once you realize what your true power and potential is. And believe me, it's not easy. I know we've been through a lot of rough times. It hasn't been easy, but you've got to gird your loins. You've got to start getting ready for the events that are about to happen. And let me tell you, one good thing about being here, what do you not see anywhere at the moment? People.
And you know, Michelle Obama, I'll give her this, or him this.
Big Mike.
It was right about one thing. If you don't think it can't get a lot worse,
you ain't seen nothing.
Think again.
The plans that they have, the plans that they have and what they're going to do right after the election. Hell, they may even pull this crap, you know, the October surprise. We always get that. The neutrals are going nuts. They're saying something big is coming soon. Once they actually tell me, we'll pass it on. I couldn't get any of them to talk today. They're all in some big conversation that they're having amongst the Wind Fathers and a bunch of the other neutrals. Something's going on, something big.
Well, can you guys feel it? Can you feel it in your very soul? Can you feel something's not right? You
know something's not right.
Trust your instincts. They're telling you your instincts is your higher self, okay? Everyone said, oh, it's just instinct. No, it's your higher self.
Telling you, hey, asshole, something's coming your way, and it's going to be an 18-wheeler when it comes through your town, okay? You don't want to be anywhere near it. Or if you do want to be near it, you got to be around to figure out what to do with these things. So start preparing, people. That's the best advice we can give you. But the good news is this: if you do get caught up in something, if you do get killed, if you die, if something happens, you're free.
You're free.
You're free. Now, you can't self-terminate. That's a no-no.
No.
You have to play the game to the best of your ability. That's the rule. Okay? But it's coming, people, and you know it.
And everything you've ever been taught on this planet, if you can remember these very few things that we're about to finish this video with, everything you have ever been taught was a lie. You should never have a fear of death, because this is a flesh suit. What's inside of you is the real you, the higher self, the instinct. You
have a body, you are a soul. See, they even invert that. They say, oh, well, you have a soul in your body. No. You are a soul. Everything that you are, the way you think, the way you feel, who you are, your personality, that is your soul. Okay? That's who you are. It can become better or worse. darker or lighter, that's up to you.
But you have to make a choice. We've pretty much run out of time here. And you know, 4 months ago, Kashti warned you all. She put out a video and she tried for the last time to help those who were still confused about what was coming. Go back and listen to her words 4 months ago and tell me which part of what she said was not truthful.
Yeah, and she's good looking too, so you gotta listen to her.
Oh, you don't. Well, yeah, I'll give you that one, but listen, Victoria's right. The time has come for you to decide what the hell you're gonna do.
Are you going to let these people railroad you, starve you into submission for, you know, a piece of bread and a drink of water? Because that's
what's coming.
Yes.
So keep that in mind,
Yes.
as we say.
Goodbye.
There, turn that off. God damn it. I don't want anyone hearing my bad English.
Oh, they just did.
Oh, shut up. Just turn it off.